Did you just get ClickUp for your accounting or financial firm and want to know the best way to set it up for your team? Well, in this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact process and setup that we've helped 2,700 different firms streamline their operations in ClickUp. I'll walk you through the hierarchy, processes, custom fields, views, and everything you're going to need to know to get it set up and built correctly for your firm. This is going to help your team be way more productive, efficient, and give you the visibility that you need as a business owner to make data-driven decisions. Let's get started. So let's jump into ClickUp here and first talk about the end state of where we're trying to get to with this ClickUp implementation. And really the goal is clarity for all. So we're talking clarity for your leadership team. We're talking clarity for your account managers. We're talking clarity for team leads, project managers, individual contributors, as well as your clients overall. And you want to make sure that everyone knows in their respective roles, they have visibility into what's happening, what they're in charge of, as well as your leadership team should have a good overview of maybe your least and most profitable clients or projects or even users, as well as how well your team is utilized overall. Because we want to make sure that we are not missing any issues that might be looming underneath the surface overall. And that tends to happen when you don't have a single source of truth, when you don't have a good, efficient system built inside of your project management system. You need to have that. You need to have your team tracking their time, closing their tasks, because that's what's going to give you the good data to be able to get good reporting that you're looking for overall. So I'll skim through a few of these in terms of the end state and the results of where we're trying to get you towards. So as you can see right here, I do have a dashboard that's kind of showing me profitability over different months for my certain clients. As we can dig into this, I can look at Apple overall, how profitable are they? And then I can take this and make decisions based off of, hey, we might have a great relationship with that client, but we're actually losing money on them. Maybe is now time to cut ties. And you can also group those together to kind of help determine your ideal customer profile overall to see who are our most and least profitable clients. What are maybe services that we're offering that aren't as profitable? Maybe we need to cut ties with those as well. So we'll be able to do things like that. We can also look at overall utilization by users. Maybe there's some team members that are very underutilized. We need to ramp that up, or maybe we need to let go of some people on our team. You might not have that information right now, but all of it's going to help you build a more profitable business overall. And then in addition, being able to see sort of time visibility to see how well we're tracking time, how well we're estimating our time to help us plan work better to, again, increase utilization, increase profitability, and provide better value to our clients as well as our team overall. We need to have that as a leadership team. In addition, you might want to know overall health of your contracts and your clients to see how this is going in the eyes of your team. So you want to have a single view where you can check all that information. So you can see here, I have all the information documented inside of ClickUp, from contract health to my services to objectives to billing. All of that is in here inside of ClickUp. And then when it comes to really your account managers, your project managers, they need to be able to kind of have a step up view where they can see multiple clients and the work that's happening across them. They might not just want one client at a time. They might want to be able to go to something like your delivery space here, which I'll go over the hierarchy in just a moment, but they need to be able to see sort of what's happening across different clients. What's the progress of those deliverables or projects that we're working on? Are we behind schedule? Are we on schedule? What do I need to bring up with a client to help hold everyone accountable here? So they need to have a good view of all of that information. Just like this. In addition, we also need to be able to see workload. So we need to be able to confidently make decisions on who to assign work to based off of them being under or overutilized. So we need to have a good, clean workload view just like this inside of ClickUp to be able to see the work that they're working on, as well as using those time estimates that we're going to put on our tasks to help us get that information and confidently schedule work, knowing that our team can actually take that on and not be overwhelmed overall. In addition, you want your individual contributors to be able to know what they're in charge of or what's on their plate. So every single day they should be coming in, they should have a nice view of all of their tasks that say, hey, I need to do this today. This is also where I can track time. This is how long it should take. They can click into this and find the SOP to how this is actually done. So all the information is going to be there for them to make their lives very easy, not have to worry about anything else. Just come here, see their workload. It's going to make them much more productive and efficient in the system. And then in addition, you can also make views for your clients where they're able to see the work for them. You can build dashboards in ClickUp. You can build client portals here as well to help them understand the work that you're doing for them, as well as the results overall. So that's really the end state of where we're trying to get to. Again, it's clarity for your leadership team, your account managers, your team leads, project managers, individual contributors, as well as your clients. So now that we know the end state of where we're trying to get to, let's talk about really step by step how we're actually going to get there. And the first step to this is designing out your ClickUp hierarchy. And this is more important than people think. Oftentimes people get into ClickUp and they start building out random spaces and folders, and they don't really have any kind of rhyme or reason for why they're doing that. So this is a very strategic way that you're setting it up. So please listen to this. Make sure you design it correctly, because this is going to help you with any of those time that's being tracked to be able to uncover those looming issues that we talked about earlier on. So the way that ClickUp is set up is you have a bunch of different layers in the hierarchy, and these also play with views and things like that we'll go over later. But as you can see here, the way that it's working is inside of ClickUp, I have at the highest level a workspace. So you have one ClickUp workspace. This is essentially, as you can see here, it's named Guava Box. This is the name of my firm, and all of my company's work is going to live inside of this one workspace. So workspace is the highest level. If you want to kind of see, it's called everything, but it's kind of your workspace level to see work across all of your different spaces and folders and lists. I can go the everything level to see that overall. So this could be the everything level view. This could be the workspace view, whatever you want to call it. That's really where you'll be able to see all the work across your workspace. In addition, you then have spaces. And so the way that we look at spaces is these are kind of departments or teams within your organization. So I have three main spaces, and I have a couple other, which I'll get to in a moment, but I have three different ones represented by growth, which is where my sales and marketing work is going to live. So actually growing our business. We then have delivery, which is actually servicing our clients. So this is where most of the work is going to live overall. So super important for any kind of accounting or financial firm to put all the delivery work in one space. And then I also have operations, where really everything else lives, from HR to our internal finance to people, general and admin. Our internal meetings can live there inside of that operations space. So the most important thing now is, okay, we have our spaces, which is sort of, again, those high level departments or teams, whatever you want to call them. And then underneath those spaces, you then have folders. So the way that this works inside of a delivery space, it'll be a little bit different than these other spaces. But in my delivery space, my folders are going to be represented by my clients. So each client is going to get their own folder. And in that folder, you then have lists. And lists are where work actually lives inside of ClickUp. So the way that lists work inside of this delivery space is I have lists for all of my different contracts that I have for my clients. These can also be projects. So really the way that you invoice clients or how they're billed, that's how you would set up your list structure overall. So as you can see here, I have financial services for Publix 24. That is a year-long retainer that all the work for that retainer is going to go into that one list. It's going to make it much easier for me to invoice that client and see all the deliverables that are happening for that specific contract. So that is going to live there. That's how my lists are structured. In addition, you can have an account management list that this is sort of like those client meetings and things that you could put the tasks in there. Especially important if you have a bunch of different retainers set up with that client, or maybe a retainer in a project, depending on what you're doing for them. You might want to have an account management list where some of that other work lives for the client overall. To give you another example of what this would look like in another space for growth, we'd have folders, not represented by clients in this case, but it's represented by sort of those lower level teams underneath growth. So we're now breaking it up into different categories. As you can see here, we have marketing and we also have sales. And then underneath that is going to be lists represented by work categories. So marketing, we have content, email, and website. You might have other ones depending on what you do to market your business. And then sales, we could have things like deals and prospecting, where that work lives. So it's a little bit different from delivery to growth, but essentially this is going to be the most important. But here, the way you would set up your other spaces is that you have folders for sort of lower departments underneath this larger team. And then all of your lists are represented by those work categories. You just need to make sure that every task has a home overall. But so we have our workspace, which again is going to be our firm. We then have spaces represented by those higher level departments. We then have folders, in this case represented by clients. And then we have our lists overall that are going to be represented by sort of the way that we're billing our clients or those retainers or project lists. And then all of our tasks are going to live in that lists. And those tasks are represented by parent tasks as well as subtasks. And then you can also have checklists within those subtasks or parent tasks as well. And the way that we look at parent tasks and subtasks is parent tasks are essentially the high level deliverable that you're doing for someone. As you could see in this case, it's payroll setup. I also have monthly payroll management. That is the deliverable. And then underneath that, my subtasks are represented by all of the actionable steps that need to be taken to complete that deliverable. And then these subtasks are going to be signed out to people with due dates, with time estimates. I can also track time on all of these. So that's how this would be set up. Each subtask can also have a task description in here. In this task description, you can have a link out to an SOP document. I can also have a description on how I would actually complete this. So that's how that would work. In addition, I can also have, as I said, checklist items in this as well for reminders to don't forget to do this, this, and that. So overall, that's how it works. Again, you have checklists sort of at the lowest level in the hierarchy. You have your subtasks, which is really that actionable work that you're going to be completing. Parent task, which is going to be represented by deliverables or project phases as well, kind of a way to group up those tasks. And then I have lists represented by that contract or that retainer there. I have folders represented by my clients. I then have spaces that represent those higher level departments. And then in addition, I have that workspace where all of my work is going to live. And then in addition, I talked about a few additional spaces, and we'll get into one of these, especially in just a moment. But I also in here, besides just my growth, delivery, and operations, I also have a space for my templates. So this is your process library where essentially you're going to build all your processes and save them as templates. That's going to be super, super important. And then in addition, I also have a space called mission control. This is essentially where we're going to put all of our records for things like clients, contracts, contacts. And we can put invoices in here too so that I can track. I can send these out with QuickBooks Online and send them directly back here to be able to manage that process and have those records living inside of ClickUp, make it very easy for my team to be able to see that information. In addition, I can store things like internal records like a team directory, our tech stack, contractor database here, track out of office time. I can put all of that inside of my internal records here as well. So that's really what mission control will be, is just kind of a way to store all of that information to be able to see all of that in one central place. Now, the next most important thing is going to be actually building out your processes overall. Because oftentimes people will jump into ClickUp and what they're going to do is they build out the hierarchy, maybe correctly, maybe not. And then they just go and start adding a bunch of random tasks in here inside of ClickUp and just assign it to multiple people using the statuses to kind of pass that back and forth. And it doesn't really help us with the visibility, especially when it comes to workload. So we want to make sure, we actually want our team to be more productive and efficient, we actually go and build out all of our processes that we do, all the deliverables that you do, and you build those out as templates inside of ClickUp, save them, and then deploy them over and over and over again to make it way easier to follow, way easier to get those tasks in front of the team overall. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and, as we talked about earlier, build out this process library just like this. Doesn't matter as much about the structure here. Really what matters most is that you just organize it well with folders so that you can easily find templates. The reason you're building this is because the ClickUp Template Center, it's great, but it doesn't have a way to actually edit templates overall. So you want to build a place where you can be able to go and actually edit those templates because you're going to optimize them over time. They're not going to stay the same throughout the years of you as a business. They're going to continue to, you want to update them. You want to add some more detail to them and just be able to optimize them as you continue to learn and grow overall. So as you can see here, I have a bunch of lists where all of my templates are going to live. As you'll see, I have one for financial services. And then in here, I'm building out all of my processes, my deliverables as task templates. So what I'm going to do, as you can see here, I have bookkeeping as one, I have tax strategy as another, financial reports, CFO strategies. What I'm going to do is essentially, again, that parent task will be represented by the deliverable. So we have bookkeeping here, and then underneath that, I have all of my different subtasks that are going to be represented by all the action items that are needed that will actually be assigned out to my team. So the way that we look at this is you can have the parent task here. We want to make sure we prioritize what those deliverables are overall. You're not going to be able to build all of them at one time. You want to prioritize which ones you should build first. Think about the things that you're actually doing for your clients. And then we go here and think about what are those steps that are necessary to complete this bookkeeping deliverable. So as you can see here, I have upload bank feeds, categorize transactions, reconcile all bank accounts, create query list, all the way down to ensure all outstanding queries are addressed. And with this, each of these subtasks under here are going to have due dates, they're going to have time estimates, and then they'll also have custom fields here as well. So we're going to jump into all of this. Don't want to make this video too long, but as you can see here, I have due dates here. Essentially the way that these are just going to be dummy dates. All I care about is the distance between each of these dates. So if you're sending things to clients for them to review them and getting that information back, think about what that distance between those dates are. How long do clients take to review things? Think about the distance between these dates. Again, I don't care what this actual date is because I can easily remap this when I go ahead and deploy it as a ClickUp template. But as you can see here, my due dates all the way down to the bottom. Each of these also has a time estimate on it. Essentially, the way that we look at these as well is that each of these should be able to be completed by one person, so one user in one sitting. So we don't like to have these be things with start dates and due dates that are exceeding like 8 to 10 hours. We want to make sure all these tasks are more bite-sized, making it easier for your team to go and confidently close them when it's complete. So look to make these no longer than 4 hours apiece. In addition, you can also use a role custom field here. So this is a drop-down custom field. Essentially, what this is going to serve as is this is going to be a custom field that allows you to assign this work in the future. You don't want to build assignees into your templates here because we're building these to scale. We're not building these for necessarily just today because you want to have this so that in the future, you have an analyst here, but maybe the person that's an analyst today is not an analyst tomorrow. Or maybe you have a bunch of different clients where someone's an analyst for one, but not for another. So you don't want to build assignees into these templates. You want to use a role custom field. That way I can easily group all those tasks together and assign them in bulk. So that's going to be the most important pieces. In addition, to make this even better, what I would recommend, again, is adding descriptions here. You can link this out to a knowledge base that you can even build inside of ClickUp, but add a description that's linking to templates that provides more detail. Essentially, this is going to be the how to complete this task. That way, when you bring someone new on board and they get assigned to this upload bank feeds, they click into this task, they have a good description on how it should actually be completed, making it way easier for them to learn it quicker. You might have a video of how to do this right here, but oftentimes you can link to a knowledge base or that SOP because we want to make sure that the process overall lives where the work gets done. That's going to make it way easier for your team, not have to go looking for a certain SOP document. It's all right there. It's all living inside of ClickUp, making their lives that much easier. In addition, feel free to add checklist items here too to just serve as reminders for don't forget to do this, this, or that, making sure your team is held accountable to this so that they're not forgetting to do things that might be important. Maybe someone does it every single day, but sometimes maybe because it's so redundant, they might forget to do something. We want to make sure we use checklists to help with that overall. So those are the main ingredients on all these tasks: due dates, time estimates, those roles. You want to have all the subtasks built out. But in addition, you can also go ahead and add dependencies into these tasks. So as you can see, the way that I add dependencies is I utilize a Gantt view here inside of ClickUp. I can easily just go ahead and build that out just like this. And as we'll see, all we're going to do is link one task to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And what this is going to do is this is going to make it way easier for me to go ahead and remap these due dates in the future. So I don't typically do it here in the process library, but I'll show you what that looks like. If I go to my Gantt options and I go to reschedule dependencies, I can also hide and skip weekends if I want to be able to skip the weekends when I'm remapping these due dates. But this is very important for your account managers. They want to be able to remap due dates when it's like in the middle of a process. So say this configuring gusto gets pushed back, I'm able to take that and remap the whole process just like that. So that makes it way easier for our team to go ahead and remap due dates. But again, once you're done with all of your processes, you have all of these built out. What you're going to do is you're actually going to go ahead and save these as templates inside of ClickUp. So right now, this is not a template. This is just a task with subtasks underneath it. It's not actually inside of the ClickUp Template Center quite yet. So in order to do that, what I need to do is I can come here. I can go to my Template Center just like this. I can save this as a template. We can label this bookkeeping. Then I can go ahead and customize import items, you want to make sure you turn off things like watchers, because essentially if you're the one that build out this process and you go deploy it, you're going to be a watcher on every single task if you do not turn that off. And you'll get a ton of notifications. So I want to save you the headaches. Go ahead and turn off watchers overall and go and save this template just like that. So when it's saved, you'll see down here your task template bookkeeping has been created. And now what you're able to do is I can come here, say we're going to be doing this for Publix. I can come here and I'm able to go ahead and deploy this template just like this. I'll go to Browse Templates. I'm going to search in my task templates for bookkeeping. Use this template and I can name it if I want to be something different there. So if I wanted to be bookkeeping for Publix, I could remap that or rename it just like that. I can also now go, as I said, it's important to just build dummy dates into your processes, because now what I'm able to do is I'm able to go into remap dates and I can say, hey, this is going to be due on April 26th, just like that. And now I use this template. And what that's going to do, instead of me having to go create all those tasks from scratch, now what I have is this process built out with all the dependencies in there, with any of those descriptions in there. I also have the due dates. I have the time estimates. I have any other custom fields that I would need in this as well. And what I'm able to do now is I can actually create an assignee view. As you can see, it's called task assignment here. And what that's doing is now it's taking that role field that we talked about earlier in that process library. So if I go back down here to show you, as you can see, all these are assigned to the analyst, but maybe it's assigned to someone else. And now what I'm able to do is I can take that custom field and I'm able to put it and group by it. So as you can see, now I'm grouping by the custom field of role. And then when I do that, what I'm able to do is I can grab all of these tasks that would be assigned to a payroll analyst. I can come up here with my multi-select toolbar, which is a great feature inside of ClickUp, and I can go ahead and assign it to myself just like that. In addition, if you have a bunch of other different roles in that process, I can come here. I can assign all of these to the analyst just like that. Let's say this one's assigned to Gray. He's our analyst, and that's going to make it way easier for me to assign that work in bulk. So that way, when I come back here, you'll see all of this work is assigned out, and now it's going to be on those people's plates to make sure that they don't forget to do it. So that's really the most important piece, is building out those processes. Make sure you prioritize them right out of the bat to know which ones we need to do, which ones are we actually doing as a business most often for our customers, and especially for any accounting and financial firms, you want to make sure you build those out, get them into the right list, assign them out so that your team knows what they need to do, how they need to do it, and then they can go ahead and track their time very easily as well. So the other beautiful part about ClickUp, after you do all those task templates there for your processes, is you can templatize basically anything inside of the system. So I'm talking those task templates, which we made. You can also do list templates for larger projects. We can do folder templates. We can do space templates. We can do view templates, doc templates, basically whatever you want to template inside of ClickUp, you are able to do it. So there's a couple templates that I'd recommend. The biggest one, obviously you want to have your processes all documented and templatized inside of ClickUp, but as you can see here, I have all of these folders built out inside of my delivery space, and they all have a very similar structure in terms of the lists in here. As you can see, I have a bunch of views at the top, and it's all very standardized. I also have documents in each of these that allows me to bring some things like my meeting notes, as well as a client overview, which is another super important piece of this. And the reason you want to have these folders is because then you can basically centralize all of the documents, the meeting notes, agendas, everything for each of these clients in one place and make it very easy for the team to find. So you'll want to do that. But instead of me having to come each time we bring on a new client, come here, create a new folder just like that, and then kind of have to go through all of these additional instructions, I can eliminate that process, build it into a template so it's all standardized, and make it way more easy and scalable for my team to bring on new clients. So if I go down to my template library, again, we have all those task templates. You can have list templates here as well for those larger projects. But down here, you'll see I have a new client folder template. So in this, what I'm going to include with it is going to be the structure. So we have our folder and our lists. We also have all of the views that I want to build into this as well. So that way it's all standardized in each location. But I'll have the list here. And then important within this is going to be an onboarding list as well. So this is something that essentially one of the processes you're going to build out is new client onboarding, probably most important process that you have, because that's when every new client is going to go through onboarding. So we need to make sure we have that built out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build that into my folder template, this new client folder template, so that each time I deploy this, we have the onboarding tasks ready to go, make it way easier to really streamline that onboarding process and make it a better experience for our clients overall. So I'm going to come here, and as you'll see, I have all of these tasks listed out just like I did in those payroll processes. I have the tasks in here. I have the due dates, time estimates, any additional custom fields that I'm going to need. I get that built in here to this list, onboarding. And that way, every single new client's going to go right through that. We have all the tasks in there. It makes it much easier for me to go through this. So get all that built in there again, all of the tasks that you're going to need, any of the lists. So this list structure, as you can see here, client name, contract, I can customize that later after I deploy it. But again, these are all going to come with the views and make it way easier to get those views created right out of the box rather than having you have to recreate them over and over and over again. In addition, put any documents in here that you would want to bring with all those client folders. And with this, it's going to be a bit different than when we saved a task template, because with a task template, I came right here into the task and saved it like this into the task settings, into my templates, just like that, save as a template. But what I'm going to do here for this folder is instead, I'm going to actually go to the folder level, come here to those settings, templates, save as a template. I name it just like that and follow the same instructions. And then we're going to go ahead and save the template like that. So what that's going to do now is, again, it's going to bring all of those, anything that's in this folder, the lists, the tasks, the views, the automations, it's going to bring that with it. And now I can come here into my delivery space. Every time we bring on a new client, I just have to go find my templates, browse templates, and then go ahead and find that new client folder template just like this. Use a template, I name it. I can remap the dates based off of that start date for our onboarding process, use a template, and then deploy that folder. Very easy, just like that. So it makes it a much easier, scalable process for your team, especially for those that are going ahead and setting up new clients and making sure all those views and everything else is standardized overall. Now, lastly, let's talk about actually working inside of ClickUp for our team. So a couple things to note here. As you can see, now we have these tasks actually deployed. Remember, your team's not going to have to go navigate to all these folders to go and find their work. That's sometimes the misconception that, like, now that you organized all of this and these different folders and lists, to actually go find your work is going to be a pretty tedious task, but it's not difficult at all. That's the beauty of ClickUp, is the views that they have here. So the way that views really work is, views, if I build one at the list level, I can just see all of the work here inside of this list. So I'm only gonna be able to see what work is assigned inside of the FinServ Publix 24 list. But if I go to the Publix folder, I can now see work that is across these different lists. So if you had a bunch of different projects and really those retainers inside of Publix, I'd be able to see all of that work here at the folder level. Now, if I went to the delivery space, I could see work across all of these different folders. So as you can see here, if I want to see work across Food Line, Hannaford, Giant Eagle, so on and so forth, I can go to the delivery space and see work across all these folders, all the lists in those folders. And that's really how views work. So as you can see at the top here, I'm able to see work, again, in all of those different locations, not just in one specific folder or list. I could narrow down with all of my view settings and what I want to group by, my filters. I can narrow those down with all those custom fields that we've built in to our process templates. And that's really the important piece of it too. But again, that's how views work. And the reason I'm telling you about this is, now the way that your team is going to work is, if I go to the everything level, which is sort of our workspace level, whatever you want to call it, I'm now able to see work across my entire workspace. So me as an individual contributor, I want a view here. That way I can see work. Maybe I have internal work in operations. Maybe I have some growth work, but maybe I also have some client services work. I want to see all of that work in one location. So in here, I have a My Task view. You can also use the home view inside of ClickUp now that it's a bit more customizable. But as you can see here, I have a My Task view. Essentially, the way that I created this is, all of this is going to be the work that is assigned to me, not anybody else, just me. That's why you're seeing this here. And then I'm able to kind of see, again, all of my work. I can also show breadcrumbs here to see what this task is. What's the parent task? What's the deliverable there? What's the list? What's the folder, and what's the space? To do that, I can come to customize and go to my list options here, turn on task locations, as well as subtask parent names to be able to see that information. And again, now I can come here and I can see work that's due today. I can also see work that is overdue for me right here, but I can also see the time estimates, and I can go ahead and track my time right here. So the way that your team is really going to work is, each and every day they're going to come into this view. They're going to see their tasks here because they've been assigned to them, and you have that work all planned out inside of ClickUp. they'll be able to navigate into the future. But I can come in here, I can click on this task. Again, if you have a description here, that makes it very helpful. If you build those into your process templates, that's going to help make it much more scalable to have, again, process living where the work gets done. If I link that out to an SOP or a knowledge base there, making it easy for a new person to come in and know what they have to do. But I'm going to come here as I start this task. I'll go ahead and start tracking time. And then when I'm tracking time, I'll go ahead and do the work overall. In addition, when it comes to communication, you want to make sure that your team is communicating in the parent task. Oftentimes with any sort of service business, they have Slack or Teams, and communication with clients and internally gets lost. You have client communication happening in email, you have it happening inside of Slack or Teams, then you also have it happening inside of ClickUp. So whenever it comes to communication within a deliverable, what you want to do is you want your team to then go to the parent task and mention anyone that needs to know about. So anything that has to do with the payroll setup, the communication should all happen here inside of this parent task. That way, if anyone needs to have any additional context into what's happening overall, they can come here, they can see what's happening, they can mention anyone that they need to communicate with, and this becomes the single source of truth, the central hub for all the work that's happening for this payroll setup. So if there's any additional external documents that need to be published in here, make sure it all goes in here. That way your team is fully aware overall about what is happening. It'll make it much easier for your team to navigate inside of ClickUp, and everything is going to be in one place and create a single source of truth overall. So as your team is working on those tasks, they'll work out of their My Task view, they'll track their time, they'll work on the task, but then they'll come here to communicate with the rest of the team. But in addition, when they're done tracking time, they're done with this task, they could stop the timer. Again, the way that the time is going to be tracked is it's going to go to this task, but it's also going to be applied to really this list, or this task, this list, this folder, and this space to be able to get accurate and good time tracking for you to have that in reporting. But overall, when I'm done with that, I can go ahead and close this task just like this. And that is going to be the way that we're going to use ClickUp for accounting and financial firms. And there you have it. That's how you streamline your operations inside of ClickUp. If you like this video, you found it helpful, please go ahead and hit the like button below and subscribe so that you don't miss our next ClickUp tutorial. We're going to drop these weekly so that you can get the most out of your investment inside of ClickUp. In addition, if you have any questions, comments, or just feedback in general, also drop those in the comments below and I'll get right back to you. And lastly, if you want the help to just get this off your plate and have ClickUp's #1 and highest rated solutions partner help you streamline your operations at ClickUp, go to zenpilot.com/call. We've helped 2,700 different firms streamline their operations to build more productive, profitable, and healthy teams. And we'd love to do the same for you. And with that, that's all I have for today. I'll see you again next time.
Can I make no more? I can't replace it. Trying hard just not to waste it. It's about time. Yeah, it's about time.